Yesterday morning, Thursday morning, Donald Trump calls into Fox and Friends to talk about how much better the DNC is going than the RNC went. Of course, Trump's never going to admit that, even though, by the way, the ratings for the DNC have increased every single night, blowing the RNC out of the water. I mean, Tuesday night alone, they topped the RNC's Tuesday night with more than 39% higher ratings, more than 6 million more viewers on Tuesday than the RNC had on their Tuesday evening. So Trump's pissed. And when he gets angry, when he gets pissed off, he becomes even more incoherent and unhinged. And that is exactly what happened when he called into Fox and Friends on Thursday morning. And he decided that when he was asked a very simple question, he was going to ramble incoherently like an absolute madman. Here is what happened. Fox and Friends co-host Ainsley Earhardt asked Donald Trump this question. All right, so this is your chance to set the record straight. What's your response? Okay, that's the question. Now, she, of course, had talked about the fact that Tim Walz went out there, attacked Trump, attacked Project 2025, blah, blah, blah. So the exact question again, simple question. All right, so this is your chance to set the record straight. What's your response? At that point, Donald Trump started talking and did not stop talking for 5 straight minutes. Now, I have, courtesy of Mediaite, Donald Trump's entire response out in front of me. I am going to try to read to you as much as possible. I'm not reading the whole damn thing, but I want you to listen to this incoherent 5-minute response that Trump gave. Here it is. Well, and I'm not going to do the voice, I'm just going to read it normal. Well, first of all, he's a total lightweight, and he shouldn't be even having any access to possibly being president. The guy, he's been a terrible governor. They've had nothing but problems in their state. He has no capability. They call him coach. He's a semi-coach. You coach some football for a little while. This guy is a lightweight and he shouldn't have access. And for him to say about Project 25 is disgraceful. They know I have nothing to do with it. I had no idea what it was. A group of people got together. They drew up some conservative values, very conservative values, and in some case, perhaps they went over the line. Perhaps they didn't. I have no idea what Project 25 is, but they use it and they know it. Just like Charlottesville, totally discredited. They use Charlottesville. Biden gets up all the time, says Charlottesville. He ran because of Charlottesville. He got run out of office by the Democrats. They did a coup on him. So we're already on like the 4th topic at this point. And I'm barely into this, but we're on the 4th topic. And he's sitting someplace in California on a beach because he's in California, crime-ridden place. It's not the same place. Topic 5. More people leaving than coming. And all of the things that these people have done. Kamala has been the worst. Everything she touched turned bad. California turned bad. San Francisco. You can't walk into San Francisco. You barely can go into California anymore, people. It's a state that's in terrible, terrible crime. Trouble in every other form of trouble. Monetary troubles. It's got nothing. Drugs all over the place. Jesus Christ. Okay. So he's talking about California, and then he goes on more California for a little bit. Then he goes, so these guys, they talk about that. They talk about all the different things that they know are totally discredited. They have a thing with soldiers where I'm looking over the graves of soldiers. And so we're on topic 6 now, I think. I'm looking over the graves of soldiers and saying horrible thing about dead soldiers from World War I. It was totally made up. It was a made up story. I confirmed that was confirmed. But my side of it by 26 people in the military that it never happened. They had one lunatic talking about it and they use it all the time. There's nobody that loves the military more than me. Nobody did more for the military. I rebuilt the military. And at this point, Brian Kilmeade tries to come in and stop Donald Trump. He's like, yeah, she was the last one in the room when that decision was made, talking about Afghanistan, but really trying to get him back on track because Trump did go into Afghanistan. So topic number 7 in the first half of his rant. And again, the question was, set the record straight about what Tim Walz went after you for. And he's already gone through 7 different topics by the time Brian Kilmeade interrupts and is like, hey man, can we steer this train of thought back onto the tracks? Oh God, no. And then he continues. That's one of the biggest air bases in the world. It was 1 hour away from where China makes their nuclear weapons. 1 hour away. Very important that we keep it. They left Bagram, the biggest runway. Most powerful runways cannot handle the heaviest of loads. This was designed billions and billions of dollars years ago. We gave them the keys and now China occupies Bagram. We should have kept that. That was one thing that should have stayed, not because of Afghanistan, but because of China. So now we're on China. So we went through Afghanistan, topic 7. Now we're on topic 8. They took the soldiers out before they did. Okay, now we're back on soldiers. Okay. Excuse me, but then I have to listen to a lightweight like this get up and absolutely lie. But they all lied, and they mentioned my name. I read where, and frankly, I watched where you said groups that you specifically, I think, mentioned me 297 times. They mentioned the border. So now we're on topic 10 because he's like, they talked about me. Topic 9, talked about the border. Topic 10. Once they mentioned crime twice. Once they mentioned crime twice. By the way, I'm not misreading any of this. I am literally reading the transcript of what he said. Okay? I just want to make that clear. Like, I'm not stumbling. It's because this is how he said it. Jesus, where am I? Once they mentioned crime twice. They don't mention the economy because the economy's terrible, horrible. So we're on 11. You saw that 818,000 fake jobs they put in the rolls. They thought they could keep it. They thought they were going to keep those numbers until right after the election when they could announce a revision. Jesus Christ. They were fraudulent job numbers, just like they have fraudulent crime numbers. So now we're back on this. The FBI didn't include New York. Jesus, I'm done. Okay? I can't. These are symptoms. And those hosts on Fox News let this madman sit there exhibiting symptoms of potentially mental illness, definitely of cognitive decline. And Brian Kilmeade only tried that one time to be like, yeah, let's get this back on track. 5 minutes, this madman rambled about every random thought that popped into his head. And honestly, reading that was kind of fun because you can see how he gets off on these tangents, because when he's talking about one thing and says one trigger word for him, then he's like, oh yeah, that. So now let's talk about that. Oh, and then I said this word and that reminds me of this thing over here. So, oh, and then I said this word. Now I'm back over here. He can't control his own way of thinking. His train of thought has now gone off the ravine in a spectacular explosion. And Fox News just let it happen. They're sitting there when they had the power to cut him off. And instead, they let this whole thing air. It takes up all of the headlines throughout Thursday of how unhinged this man is. And Fox News didn't once stop to think that, wait a minute, this is going to look bad for this guy. Nope. They were so desperate to give him airtime that what they instead ended up doing was showing the world just how insane Donald Trump really is. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.